Hello there everybody and welcome back to episode 9 of Stationeers. You join me on top of our solar panels as we're going to do a little bit of testing as the Martian sunrise rises. I wanted to give a big thank you to a normal duck.
Jetpack low.
Fantastic name, also Jetpack's low, we'll have to deal with that next. But a normal duck has pointed out that apparently in the new version of the game, of which we are currently on, this memory should be set to 90 instead of 75. But I want to quickly do a sort of comparison, I guess, between the current state of our solar panels versus what they end up being. So once the sun rises, we're going to take a little bit of a reading on these bad boys and see what we come up with. I think one could make a very good argument that this door does not need to be powered. We come up here every now and then and press a button. It really does not need its own cable, because that's like a 100-watt draw right there. We're going to have to do a little bit of butchery down in the base, because our power grid is not coping. Hopefully, this fixes it. The next storm will fill up our batteries, which should probably tide us over until the next storm. You know, not exactly a safe way to live, but, you know, I like to live on the edge. But I really hope, that the efficiency gains we get here, which I see are now measured to 3 decimal points, that's kind of cool, will do the work. Also, having welded this together has actually saved these things from any further damage, and they're all still at 100%, which is great. They were all down to like 40 or something from the 3 storms we'd had, because I'd put them on frames, but hadn't welded them shut, meaning all of this time and resource investment was pointless. Learn from me, people. Airtight means airtight everywhere. To interrupt what really is just an absolutely stunning sunrise. This game can be kind of beautiful when you don't look at the squares so much. Wow, that is something, isn't it? We should go and get a quick reading on our solar panel. So currently we're dealing with an efficiency of 92. Let's see how high that gets. 93, 94, 95. I'm hoping this should get to pretty much 97, if not 98% efficiency. There we go. That's what you want to see. Okay, so that's pretty much perfect. We could squeeze a couple more watts out of it if we were really lucky, and right away we begin to see a degradation, and that is because of these shadows being cast by the frames. Unfortunately, there is just nothing we can do about it. Now, the real test is going to be to see if this will track better with a different number attached to it. So let's go ahead and pop out our label gun over here, and we're going to want to set the value to 90. Not 901. We should see them angle slightly now. There we go, they've been tilted. And let's see if a normal duck's suggestion has actually borne fruit. We're at 85% at the moment. This isn't a very fair comparison, I do realize, because yeah, we can get like a second-by-second relay. Okay, interesting. The best way to do it would be to have some kind of script that can just plot the efficiency over time on a graph. But what I'm going to basically do is see if that improves our power situation. And for the most part, I think it probably will. What have we got in here? Is this the network? No, it's the atmosphere analyzer. It's not very helpful. If I'm a little faster this time, maybe we can get in and out before the efficiency changes too much. So basically, I just want to see if it goes up or down. So it's at 78. If it goes up from 78 by more than like 2 points, then we know that the previous one was better. 75, set. Okay, if it's gone down by like 5 or 6% by now, that would just be the normal timing. That is significantly worse. Okay, cool. So we have our answer. 90 is definitely better. It's not an exact science, this, anyway. I wouldn't stress about trying to min-max it all day. You probably could get it to like 100% efficiency, but that's significantly better. A normal duck, you are a hero. Not one we deserve, but definitely the one we needed. Okay, let's close this up. I do also realize I could move that over here, and then I'd have another room for another panel. without having to build it out further. Ooh, another 400 watts would go a long way. That airlock alone, this one over here just at idle, consumes like 400 and something. In fact, we should really turn that off. We don't even have the atmospheric setup, so there's really not much point in doing this. Also, I had a bit of save corruption, unfortunately, between versions. I was able to restore the world, clearly, but we did lose a lot of data. And I also had to roll it back a bit in time, meaning we haven't set up the power and things. I actually don't know if we did that in the previous episode. A better YouTuber would go back and check. Not me, though. We're just going to go inside and pretend like this is exactly where we left off. Also, as I'm sure you can tell, no face cam again. My madman rationale for that, actually, we need to connect this up one more time so that we can, yes, set this up. Okay, we haven't actually set up the doors yet. And I'm going to keep it that way. Right now, these doors are free of the yoke of this hydroponics console. And that means I should be able to manually force them. Once they're depowered, that is. Give me that, give me that. Give me hey, give me ha. Yeah, that's what you want to see. Okay, there really isn't much point in doing this just yet, but once we've got the plants growing, it's going to mean a lot. Before I worry about that, though, the atmospheric system in this room is going to need quite a bit of juice, and so for that purpose, I have actually run this power cable down here. Again, I'm not certain if we did this in the previous episode or not. If we did, I'm real sorry. I'm doing my best out here, but it's been like nearly 3 weeks. I was so sick for so long. I am okay now, though, so thank you for everybody who sent well wishes and who asked. I appreciate the care. It's really nice to know that people out there give a dang, you know? Anyway, we're going to put this battery in there, turn that bad boy on, and we're going to seal the deal. That's going to stay there just like that for a while. Once we get power into this room, and we'll need like refrigerators and stuff, then that'll get connected up. Okay, next things next. Let's do a quick tool recharge while we're here. Since the sun's up, this is a good time to do it. Give me that one. And give me this one. I think it's all of them now, right? Yeah. That's all of them. Okay. By the way, pressing F2 hides your UI. Someone asked me about that. And pressing the tilde button, the button next to 1, will put away all your inventory slots. So if you've got everything open like a hoarder, you just press that and it's all gone. Done and easy. We really should put this battery charger outside. Okay, so I'm already seeing 2 bars over there. That's very nice. This battery, don't know what its problem is. It doesn't like to work. I don't expect answers, but I do wish we had them. Next up is, well, you know what? We should quickly check. You know, it's good. So I was going to say we should check the network, but let's get these hydroponics going. We've been, you guys have been waiting for long enough. We're going to need a bit of iron, which I don't think we have in there. It must be in here. Yeah, it is. And we're going to print up a couple lockers. Oh, actually, we might have started with a locker kit. We started with tables. Okay, that's interesting. Well, tables we can work with. Let's put down a table over here. We'll set up a little bit of a space kitchen. And I guess along this wall works, right? Put that right there. Drop the microwave on top, and I'll show you how we attach that. We won't need the second table. Maybe we can set up a nice little dining area right over. Where do we eat our food? There's our food. Put it right over, like, right over there. I'm sure that won't be in the way at all times. It already is. We're gonna need not you, this you. Yeah, this is not a great game for people with ADHD, or just ADD in my case. So definitely bear that in mind. What the hell's a crate? I mean, honestly, case in point, like, what am I even looking at that for? We need a locker. In fact, we need 2 of them. 1 locker gives you a little skinny boy, 2 lockers gives you a big old chungus, and that's exactly what we're looking for. I've also been told that I move around like an insane person a bit too much, and going back and watching the footage, you're absolutely right. We're going to take things a little slower. In fact, I'm going to try and gracefully glide the mouse across my very tiny mouse pad. Which, hilariously, it's a Chinese one, and it says, "Whole day, I am busy, and only get few effing money." If this was a different series, I would swear. Anyway, there is our locker. You'll love to see it. We could get some overhead lockers here, but they'll cast shade on these things. And honestly, I'm probably going to snake a ton of hydroponics in here. Now, whatever plants we place in here will produce heat, and they will produce oxygen. In reality, of course, they would also then react that oxygen with the stored sugars to produce carbon dioxide during their sleep cycles. I don't think the game simulates that. I think it's straight up just CO2 in, oxygen out. Oxygen and heat. And it's that heat that we need to be careful of, because it can very quickly get away from you. Also, this can now be turned off. There we go. All of this should all be off, right? Yeah, because we don't need to trade right now. As cool as trading is, it's not very useful until you need something specific. And when you need something specific, trading's completely useless. It's a great system. Why am I out here? Seeds. I'm out here for the seeds. Okay, we're going to finally get rid of this eyesore. I think it's about time. But first things first, we're going to need all of these bad boys. And I do remember, now that I'm saying it out loud, that we actually have a bunch of, what was it? I think it's rotten food that we can compost? Yeah, the organic, or spoiled organic matter, whatever the game calls it. It's all in there, and we can make use of it later. So the game has changed the way they do hydroponics a bit. If you haven't played Stationeers in a couple years, like I hadn't, then you would be slightly surprised by it. There are now seeds. Previously, you would kind of just get, like, the plant, but now plant matter decays, you know, as per reality. But it's pretty quick. Like, if we produce a bunch of soybeans, they'll be mush before the end of the month, you know, kind of thing. So we kind of want to be careful, honestly, before the end of the hour. I don't know why I said month there. We kind of want to be careful about which crops we plant right away, and also we want to be very careful that we don't plant all of our seeds of one type. We do have farming available. There we go. There's our first little fern. Alright, and not farming, we do have trading available, meaning we can get stuff back. I'm going to double down on the ferns. There we go. By the way, the fact that there's no, like, warning symbols under the name means that they're growing just fine. I think we'll get, what are we going to do for food? Let's get some corn. Put down a corn. Let's put down pumpkins take forever to grow, so let's put down a pumpkin. We can grow a little bit of wheat. No, wheat's a bit useless. Potatoes are great, because they grow quickly, and you get a bunch of them back. We'll double down on the potatoes. Okay, cool. So we've got at least one more viable harvest. Okay, so now as you can see, they're complaining about unfavorable lighting. Now, you can't just slap down a normal light. This won't work. You need something called a grow light in order to keep them growing. You know, go figure. But we currently do not have the power available to really do that any reasonable amount. I think I'd be a bit sus about putting that together. What I can do, though, is sort of currently throw down some just regular lights, you know, in the area.
Hydration critical.
Oh, shut up. Okay, and I think we'll stick with that one there, and we'll put one more right here in this corner. It's a nice corner. Okay, lovely. And I'll run the wiring on the roof like I have for the rest of the base. At some point. It won't be powered by this room. That's very much going to be dedicated to the atmospherics that keep this place alive. Because we will have to do some temperature control. The heat that these plants produce is actually kind of insane. Like, this room will get at 30 degrees very quickly. Before we need to worry about that, though, we should really worry about wrenching this down. There we go. So our microwave is now connected to the bench. If we turn the bench on with power, we can then use the microwave. But we'll set up our space kitchen in a bit. We'll need a fridge and all sorts of stuff to get it done properly. Alright, while we're doing that, let's get our hydration sorted.
Oxygen critical.
Now, as you can hear, the game's not very happy about my lack of breathing air. You know, apparently people need that to keep going. What I'm going to do is take my waste tank.
Critical.
I'm going to throw it on the floor. If we have a look at what's inside this bad boy, you will see that it is like 90% CO2. 51 moles of it is actually significant, and it's very warm. What else was in there? Out of interest? Nitrogen and oxygen. Yeah, that's all the stuff that got in my suit. So we're going to open it up, and it's all just going to vent into the room. There we go. Very nice. And as you can see, it is now sort of pretty much stabilized with the local atmospheric pressure at about 22.98 kilopascals. So we're going to pick that bad boy back up, put that in the waste tank. Very nice. And now everything is golden. By the way, we could have used our waste tank as our jetpack. I just wanted to get that CO2 out. So now what I'm going to do is something a little bit crazy. Since I'm not too worried about there being any more exo hydrogen in here, I'm actually going to take a bunch of CO2 filters, which we're going to have to print up here, and I'm going to use the portable thingy-majiggy to actually sort of manually bottle up and move all the CO2 in our base into that little room. In fact, actually, let's get the stuff in the airlock too. Can you give me... we will need this. I want a filter, and we're going to want a carbon dioxide one. And drop. Thank you. By the way, speaking of power outages, we should probably turn some of these things off. If you're wondering how I'm recording right now, because there is literally no electricity in South Africa, well, you know, at least not all the time, it is quite simply because I've actually, I've gone ahead and bought myself one of these. I got a big old battery pack for the house with a fat band inverter, and it's currently keeping this entire operation moving. Okay, so as you can see, we're going to get a ton of stuff venting into here. Oh, and I have goofed. I have goobered. I have made a terrible mistake, and I will tell you why. Points if you can spell it out in the comments before I go ahead and do this. I should have vented this out before I should have vented this out before I did that, because now we've got all of these gases in combination, which isn't great. Which means, you know what? To be honest, because I'm not like super stressed about oxygen. We've still got a fair amount. Yeah, 2.78. That'll keep me going for a while. In fact, actually, let's do a little top up.
Air tank critical.
There we go. It's not the highest pressure it could be, but it's okay. I think what we can do is maybe start working on some of this while we're waiting for them plant seeds to grow, because they're gonna stay small for a long time. Yeah, let's get started on the gas capture. Before we can worry about anything to do with the atmospherics, we should really deal with our jetpack situation. It's getting a little dire. I'm going to slap down a container holder, which is always a nightmare in this game. Come on, could you just give me the one orientation I actually want? You know what, I think I'm just going to manually do this. There we go. We'll stick that like right over there. Sure. And then we're going to have to pipe in a whole bunch of garbage gas that we don't actually want to use. Now, I'm just connecting it to the furnace simply. Should this not... Oh, you can't... Okay, you know what? That's actually okay with me. I don't actually want to get all this crappy gas into my furnace, although it shouldn't, because I'm pretty sure these valves on the furnace here are one way. So, like, you can't put stuff into the output, if that makes any sense. What we can do, however, is set inward and start pumping gas into this canister filler. And then all we have to do is stick our jetpack in the canister filler and see how we do. Now, do pay attention to the fact that what we have effectively created here is a bomb. Yes, with the capital B. If I just leave this running, it will pressurize the system, and eventually it will explode. It will explode. It's not like maybe we'll... No, it will explode. Very violently. So just be very conscious of that too. Now, it is also worth noting that we are bringing X in, which means that if we use this jetpack in our base now, we are putting X into our base. Whatever's in the jetpack will also be in there. Just remember that, okay? Alright, this is looking pretty good. I think I want to get it up to like 5 kilopascals. These tanks can take 10 before they rupture. And the pipes can take, I think it's like 50. And then they start complaining, and somewhere between 50 and 60 they go boom. But, yeah. By the way, we made it through the night net power positive, so those changes that a normal duck, suggested have really paid off, and the base is doing a lot better for it. Okay, that's about where we want to be. So let's go ahead and turn off the vent. We can just pump this entire network out by switching outwards. Just remember that. In fact, I'm going to set that like, just so when I connect it up to that, I don't accidentally pressurize these pipes and explode it. Next time I pump out the furnace, or at least attempt to. Okay. Stick that in there,
critical.
And we pop that out, and there you go. You can see it is now much higher pressure.
Critical.
Take a look. It is some very cold, very high pressure CO2, nitrogen, oxygen, and X. Okay, very nice. We can now jetpack around without any concerns. And this is basically infinite fuel. So your fuel in your jetpack does not have to be combustible. I thought it did at first. In fact, it's a very bad idea to mix oxygen and hydrogen if they're not at, like, liquid temperatures, because they kind of just explode. In fact, right over here, yeah, you can see that we've now pushed this pipe up to 23 megapascals. If I put a tank in there, it would just blow up. The reason I've done this is because I want to connect, I want to reconnect the insulated pipes, so we don't lose them. And I think just to be safe, what I'm going to do is run this network parallel. Sure. You know what? Let's stick a T section in here just for a bit of extra volume. What I want to show you with this, there we go. As you can see, the pressure has dropped back down to 5 now. So by removing pipes, we compressed it down. If I had removed all of them except one, we probably would have blown it up. So just keep that in mind, that pressure is a function of volume and temperature. Yeah. So if this got hotter, or if we were on a hotter planet, this would be a BOMB as well. Anyway, that's now that sorted. Okay, problem 1 solved for the episode. Let's go solve problem 2. Alright, we're going to be seeing a lot of the hydraulic pipe bender for the rest of this episode, so get used to it. The first things we're going to need are tank connectors. These bad boys right over here. I'm going to want 3 of them. There are 5 gases in Stationeers: oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and X. And I guess technically water if it's in a gaseous state, but now it's a liquid, so don't worry about that too much. We're going to only worry about the first 3. We just want the CO2, the oxygen, and the nitrogen. I don't really care about X and volatiles just yet, because we can't really make fuel, and X is a very good refrigerant, but I'm not too fussed. We will need to collect it at some point, but not right now. So I'm going to immediately lay down a pipe there. Let's give ourselves a bit of space. We'll put on another... you know, I suppose these could be scented, right? Wouldn't hurt anybody, and it will definitely make the YouTube comment section a little bit more bearable to be around. So let's do this. Okay, it can't be centered. Sorry, YouTube, you're just going to have to live. And then the last one we will stick right over here. Now, you can use in-place tanks, but I like using these portable ones because they're just a bit more flexible. It means that this isn't a final design. We can move things around as we need to, you know? Okay, give me portable gas tank. We'll need 2 more. Obviously, right away, we already have our oxygen tank, so we can... Oh, God, please don't do this to me. We can walk that over and safely deposit it. I am going to want... Oh, I just turned the... I just turned on the jetpack, which means I've introduced X into this room. It'll be... We might have been close... you can see there's a little bit of X popping up everywhere. Okay, it's a good thing we had the airlock closed. Okay, but yeah, this thing will take care of that. Don't worry. Okay, there's our 2 tanks. I don't need both of these out. There's our second tank. I don't want to wrench this down just yet, and I will explain why in a second. I'm just holding down right-click to deploy these. There we go. The second we wrench this down, it is going to share volume with this connector. This actually, even though you can't read its inventory, it does actually have an internal, like, pressure. And if I connect it, we're basically going to halve the pressure of oxygen we have access to. Also, once tanks are connected, you can't, like, attach things to them. So if I want to put this in that little hazard slot at the back, this one over here, I can't. Whereas if I look at the oxygen tank, I can. Can't highlights green, right? See that? Yeah. We really, really, really don't want to put our jetpack tank in the oxygen tank, because then our oxygen will be full of jetpack garbage, but you know what I'm saying. In fact, actually, is this contaminated? No, somehow it is still pure. That is honestly surprising. We can wrench down these 2 so long, and we need to decide on a color scheme here. I'm thinking green for nitrogen works fine for me, and let's do carbon dioxide. Let's do like white is oxygen. That's fair. Maybe blue is water, red would be volatiles, right? Pink, maybe pink's kind of a bit jarring of a color in this game. Let's pop that open. Give me that iron, because this takes iron. And you give me a gray spray paint. That can be CO2. CO2 feels like a gray color, right? I mean, the filters are gray. It all works out, you know, we're keeping it thematic. Now, the reason I'm spray painting this is because it's very handy to just able to look at something at a glance and be like, okay, that's that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just makes life a little easier. Now, by spraying these, we are introducing X into the atmosphere of this room, so just remember to have your filter running when you do this. Let's get that sprayed up. Okay, very nice. Alright, we're going to have to spray paint some pipes and things just to keep everything nice and organized, but for the moment, that works. Now, this isn't very helpful if we can't actually filter the gases we want, so we're going to need atmospheric kits in order to do that, and I'm actually not certain where we print those. Atmospheric kits, not here. It might very well be at the electronics printer. Let's have a look. Atmos. No, it is not at the electronic. Is it here? Mayhaps? Atmos? I think I'm typing the wrong thing. Let me have a look here quickly. Ah, there it is. Kit Atmospherics. Okay, we found it. So 10 iron, 5 gold, 20 copper. We're going to need 3 of these, 1 for each. That's going to go there. Actually, we can't stack that yet. There's no point trying. You haven't got my iron. Where's my iron? Who's got the iron? Steel, gold. You got the iron? No? Guys, where's the iron? Oh, I just put it in here. This is big brain plays today. Nothing but the wisest. Gold's running low again, but when isn't it? Am I right? Haha. We're going to need a bunch more pipes after this too. I really need to put the lights on like a daylight sensor. In fact, I'm going to work out, I think I might have to do some logic for that next episode so that when the sun's up, these bad boys are not not shining, because this is a huge waste of power. I could just go around and manually turn them on and off, but I'm a very lazy man. Like, you just do not understand. I take the Soviet approach, you know? You overbuild to the point where you don't have to think about logistics. Okay, so now that we've got our atmospherics kits, we're going to want to place them. Right-click does it as always, and we're going to very specifically want to choose the filtration device. Do not, oh my god guys, please, do not choose any of the others. It is a bit of a disaster to sort out your piping afterwards. So the way these things work is they have an input on the back, they have power on the right, they have their output in the front, and the desired output, so whatever you're filtering, and then everything else just gets dumped out on the left. So basically, if I stick this thing, let's give ourselves a bit of space, right? If I stick this thing, 1, 2, 3, yeah, that should be fine. If I stick this thing over there, see, that's an air conditioner. Yeah, it resets the thing every time because it's not a stack, which is a little annoying. And we got to face it that way. And you already came spray painted white and everything. Ah, lovely. Stick that over there. Okay, cool. So now we're going to need filters. Let's also just turn these on so that they get working right away. We're going to need nitrogen. We're going to need carbon dioxide. We're going to need oxygen. So these things basically act kind of like one-way valves. And if we just get some filters, there we go. We're going to need a couple CO2 filters. How's that one doing? That's 100%. Oh, that's for our tank. And I'll show you how we're going to get the gases in there into this network, which is super duper cool. Okay, that's our CO2 filters. Give me the oxygen. Filter oxygen. So obviously, if we turn these things on right now without a means to like sort of put the gas back in the base, it'll kind of just suffocate us right away. Like it's not going to be a good time. So we need to also set up a system to not just pull gas from one side of the base in there, but then also put it out on the other. And by kind of fiddling with the pressure regulators a bit, we can actually get like a constant flow of air, which means that all the sort of the gases will get mixed up and moved around. It's quite nice. We're going to need oxygen, and lastly, we'll need nitrogen. And if you're wondering why I'm capturing these three, it's because these are the three that make up Earth's atmosphere, and it's kind of the three that, you know, they're the ones that aren't going to hurt us in safe quantities. Realistically, we're probably not going to put CO2 back into the base, though. It'll be a mixture of nitrogen and oxygen, which is why they're next to each other. Alright, so we're going to want our nitrogen filters right over here. Oxygen goes in over here. And CO2 sticks in the corner. I really like that sound. I know it's a bit of a weird thing to say, but I do. We're going to want... Here's a little bit of a trick. If you throw that on the floor, this is kind of a handy hack. We're also going to just leave that thing printing, I think, some pipes. We're going to need a lot of pipes now. But this is, you know, it was wires before, it's pipes now. We're just going to need like a billion pipes. Okay, you just keep going, Queen. So if you grab this and you just spray paint it, boom. Now the whole stack is green. And it only uses one spray paint instead of two. Just saves a little bit of iron, a little bit of micro for you. And now it's separate, whoopsie. A separate stack, you can do something even more sneaky. So if I were to throw this on the ground and spray paint that white, right? I pick that up and I pick up the green ones. Now they're all white. Done. Whitewashing made easy. Something another YouTuber, Radamant, does, which I think is genius, is he puts down like a master pipe. So just one of each color, basically. So that of each of the colors you're using. So that you don't have to, you can just basically then pick them up and put them down without having to worry about, oh, did I spray one? Did I not? Also keeps down on the amount of X you're pumping into your base. There we go. And we are going to want yellow ones. Yellow is just going to be kind of our misc gas, I think, like our mixture gas. Although that might be a bit confusing for all the other stuff running around. Maybe we should just make it pink. Pink is a very unappealing color, at least in this game. It's just too bright. It's more of like a what is that, like a magenta, maybe? I don't know. Magenta apparently is not a real color, BT dubs. But here we are. Oh, actually, let me do one sneaky one. Print me that. Now we have yellow. Okay, we can add it to the master pipe list. And I promise we will, it's not June, but we'll make a nice little pride flag at some point. Alright, so all of this is on. we now need to do several clever things to pipe stuff out. So obviously, pipes, this just going into there doesn't do us any good, and the stuff just coming in doesn't do us much good either. We are also going to want to get rid of the waste gases, and to that effect, we're probably... ma'am, you are not pink. And to that effect, we're going to want to just kind of pipe them out. Probably just stick a vent out there, and they'll just vent out into the atmosphere for now. Okay, cool. So the way this is going to work is air will come in, like gases will come in from this side of the base. We'll have a active vent over here pulling gas in, pumping it into the network, and then we'll have a passive vent on the other side pushing gas out. There is another way to do this, which is to use back pressure and pressure regulators, but I'm going to have to do a bit of testing off camera before I'm comfortable using those. In fact, maybe it is a power-free option. Basically what you do is you pressurize the system, the air system, to a certain pressure. You let the gas in the pipes kind of filter out behind a pressure regulator and filter back through behind another. It's quite a clever way to create airflow. Anyway, the gas is going to come from this side of the base. I think we'll probably just run it straight along. This space is perfect for it. Or, that could be pretty good too back there. It's not like we're going to fit anything else. Yeah, and it could come through right there. Oh, he's beginning to see, people. He's beginning to see. Alright, bit of a time jump there. Now, a whole bunch of stuff has been laid down. I just wanted to keep the episode a little bit shorter. Most of it was grunt work. I will explain everything. And I figured, you know what, it's actually a lot easier to explain these systems once they're actually on the ground and functioning. So, to that effect, I want to show you what I've done. In this corner of the base, we're going to have a passive vent, and in front of it, we're going to have a back pressure regulator. This will feed into this pipe. I'll explain what the regulator does in a second. This pipe will contain all of the mixed gases that are in this room, pretty much everything. This pipe will then be run all the way down here. It will connect up with our filtration units, and they will filter all the gas that's in here. This one will pull oxygen and put it in this tank once it's connected. This one will pull out nitrogen and put it in this tank once it's connected. And this one will pull out carbon dioxide and stick it in that tank once it's connected. That is CO2, right? Yeah. Everything remaining, which in this case will pretty much just be hydrogen and X, will be dumped out the side. Eventually we'll have other tanks for it, but for now, we're just going to get rid of it. In fact, I actually need to print up a vent for that. I haven't done it. Right now it'll just be pumping it all into that little spot, which is, once again, kind of a bomb. Just to be remembered. Something... Oh, I don't want hydrogen, I want vent. There we go. We'll just need a little passive vent there, just to kind of like spit out whatever's left. Now, something to be aware of is that the way I'm doing it here is very inefficient. Because what's going to happen... Well, once I explain the next step, you'll understand. Let me first charge this up. Because right now, there will be, hopefully, no gases to push out here. This thing is going to be picking up all of the hydrogen and hydrogen and chlorine we could want it to pick up. Pretty much everything, right? However, we don't actually want this bad boy running 24/7. It's kind of expensive. So what we can do is occasionally turn it on, drag it around the base, drop it off. But we are going to want to empty it out at some point. And as you can see, because I goofed, we now have carbon dioxide inside here. Quite a bit of it, in fact. In fact, 96% of the volume is CO2. We want to be capturing that and dumping it into this room for our plants to use. Speaking of which, let's do a little... Yeah, I'll come back to the explanation. I actually just realized I do need to check on the plants. Oh, they're looking good. Okay, they are actually ready for harvest. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. I'm actually not going to pick them up just yet. They're going to be fine in there. They'll begin to decay eventually. But for the moment, because I actually want to do that, like I want to have like a proper episode where we talk about that. They're doing just fine. We have our first food. Yay, grown on Mars. Big moments. But we'll deal with that in a second. Right now, this is much more important. Okay, so all of that stuff's going to get filtered out. Right now, there's nothing to do with it because this is here. As I can said, there's a bunch of carbon dioxide in there that we're going to want to capture. In order to capture it, we just need to make another one of these things. We slap it down right over here. We pipe it into this network. And these guys will pull out all the contents of this thing, filter it through, dump what we don't want, and put the stuff we do want into the tanks. I realize I'm moving far too quickly. Now, what is this contraption over here? This contraption will be taking oxygen from the right, stick it in there, nitrogen from the bottom, stick it in there, and pumping out a mixture of these two gases into this thing over here, which will just empty it into the room. This right here is a pressure regulator. Now, in the way a back pressure regulator works, is basically whatever the pressure is behind it, in the pipe that connects to it from the back, it will, if you set this to, like, let's say, 50 kilopascals, okay? It will pump air out into the pipe. It'll let air through it once the pressure behind it is above that limit. So basically, if we were to decrease this, there you go. 50 is actually, we're going to have to use the labeler to do this. Let's set this up right now. We're going to want this thing to right now be 50. Okay, so basically, the base is currently far, far too unpressurized. We're going to want to pump air in here until it's fully pressurized, right? So we're going to want to take air from here, and send it through. Once the pressure in this room reaches, like, I don't know, 52 kilopascals, let's actually set that for future-proof it. We're going to want it to allow pressure through, actually, other way around, sorry. Yeah, this one needs to be set to 50. So once the pressure in this room is over 50 kilopascals, it will let air through this vent and back into the pipe network in order to be filtered. Now, once again, it's not the most efficient way to do it. The most efficient way to do it would actually be to stick it in its own pipe that runs along and then is just filtered by these two machines, or in fact actually can just sit back straight into this network. We don't spend the power on the filtration or the filters on the filtration. I'll get to that at some point. For now, this is a quick fix. Alright, next step. Once the gases are mixed, and we'll set up the ratio in a second, the gas will be let through here and will be sent through a pressure regulator. The pressure regulator works in the exact opposite way. It tests the pressure in front of it. So if we say that we want this thing to be at 52, it will allow gas through it until the pressure in front of it reaches the desired pressure, so 52 in this case. Basically what that means is that this side of the base is always going to be very slightly higher pressure than that side of the base. And any of you meteorologists out there will know that means we're going to have airflow. The high pressure zone will move down here, get sucked up by this vent, get pumped back through here, get filtered through the tanks, go back through the pipe, back out here. Oh, and we begin the process all over again. I hope that didn't do too much for your nausea. Sorry, everybody. Okay, that's basically the basics of how that works. Let's get the... I just want to get things spray painted, because it's kind of irking me that this boy's not green and this one's not gray. Ah! Now that's what I'm talking about. Okay. I've also gone ahead and put this entire network on its own power supply unit, and my reasoning for that is quite simple. I'm very, and by very I mean very worried, about this entire network kind of just nuking itself. It's a bit of a danger. In fact, this network right here is currently way overloaded. As you can see, potential of 12 megawatts of draw. Over here we've got a potential for 12 megawatts of draw. Hold on. That means these bad boys are connected. Yep, I've spliced a cable into a cable somewhere. It must be for the lights. Oops, I'm going to have to go out there and check that. Anyway, this should be isolated, and it will be in a second, and once it is, we're going to be fine, just fine. Now we get to the gas mixer. So the way this bad boy works, as you can see, we have an input 1, input 2. This here, I believe, is input 1, and that's input 2, yes. So we want this to be majority nitrogen. We don't need that much oxygen, right? So what we're going to want to do is pop out the labeler. Bada bing. This will be... Oh, actually, I have no idea. Let's have a look. Is that input 1 on that side? Yeah, there we go. So we want like a 25%, 75% mix, and that's pretty close to atmospheric. We could put some CO2 in here and then, you know, run the CO2 to that room. Oh, actually, hold on. Maybe that's a good idea. It does make things a bit more complicated. Now, you know what? You know what? I've got an airlock. That room back there, that is going to be pure carbon dioxide. And then what we'll do is we'll do exactly the same thing. We'll pump the air out, it will come into this network, and then we'll feed a pure CO2 line that goes back in. So basically, there's a constant draft. Alright, that looks very good. But now how do we pressurize this system? Well, as I said before, we can go ahead and wrench down this bad boy, which is going to add it to the network. If we have a look now at our atmospherics card, which I think is over here. There we go, this is now an atmos analyzer. This is still empty, and this thing right here is full of oxygen. As you can see, we have significantly dropped the pressure, though. That's a little bit scary. There's no nitrogen, as of yet, for reasons which I hope are obvious, and there's no CO2 yet, because we haven't actually run anything through this network. So in order to get some gases in there, so we can get started, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to want here a tank. We're going to want a tank connector. There we go. Let's print that bad boy up. Oh, we can also now connect up the room. It's not going to allow anything through it because the vent is off. Okay, going to want the tank connector. Let's stick that right over there. That should work just fine. Pop you down. And both of you can actually be spray painted. I decided on black for the atmospherics because I thought it was kind of ironic. You know, normally you'd think of that as being like a death sign. Definitely not a sign of things to come, I promise. Maybe. We'll see. It's probably all going to go wrong. I don't actually know what I'm doing. I don't know why you watch this. Okay, there we go. And then you get put away. We grab the spray paint. We make it all look nice and pink. Oh, you know, for a guy who was complaining about how pink looks in the base, it's there's a lot of pink in the base right now. We will put down some floorboards at some point to make it a little prettier. Okay, so I'm going to connect this thing up. Boom, and you'll see immediately it zeroes out the contents. Perfect. There we go. So if we have a look at our network now, pipe network is empty, and we have some stuff in here. It's very hot because that machine, when it compresses the gas, it heats them up like crazy. Yeah, 115 degrees C CO2. Yeah, we don't want to be putting that. Not very much of it, 500 kilopascals. We don't want to be feeding that to our plants just yet. All right. Next step is going to be to set up a very similar situation. No, it's okay. I was going to say we could set up a similar situation to deal with the waste vents.
Critical.
So basically we could put a canister thing and a pump right here, and it would just vacuum out our tank into the network. But I'll just open it. It doesn't matter. It's really okay. It'll passively filter. All right, so let's go ahead and turn on our gas mixer. And that means that we should now see a bunch of oxygen in this pipe. We do not see any oxygen in that pipe. Okay, what are we looking at here? So O2 in there, nothing in there. This bad boy's not mixing. Is that because it doesn't have a... Okay, so it needs both inputs in order to mix. Okay, that's completely fine. We can make that work. The CO2 tank is still good. It's cooling down pretty quickly. In fact, we could probably get away with a few gas radiators to equalize the temperature with the room. Certainly wouldn't hurt. We've got the space for it. I mean, Lord knows. Would this fit over here? No. Unfortunately, the cable's in the way. We can stick it on any of these joints, though. Yeah, we'll worry about that in a second. Now, we need a source of nitrogen and CO2 and X and all the other good stuff. And it just so happens that there's a source of all that right outside. That's right, it's Mars. We can just pump it straight into the base. So what I'm going to do is we're going to grab some more of our lovely insulated pipes. We're going to spray them down. And the reason I'm insulating this segment is because this gas is going to be cold. Very cold. We're going to want to bring that in from the outside. This is a little bit of a problem. I need to do a bit of pipe magic here because these can't connect on a joint. They have to connect on a straight. So I think we do that, and we do that. There we go. Okay, this is a bit moot, as you know. As soon as this gas touches this network, it is actually going to, you know, technically be everywhere all at once. There's no like fluid mechanics, but you know what? It's the thought that counts. This will passively cool down the base a bit. Just a fair warning to you. Okay, anyway. Let's go outside. We need to stick down a couple vents. I'm going to need an active vent in order to do this fully, which we need some more gold. Our ever-dwindling supply grows smaller. There we go. We can also stick down our exit vent, because we're now going to be pulling in a whole bunch of carbon dioxide, which is going to be a bit yucky, but so what? Not carbon dioxide, X, I mean, sorry. It is inevitable. X gonna give it to you. What? Alright, yeah, as you can see, it's a little chilly. We don't really want negative 22 degree gas coming in, but it's going to be a very small amount for a very long time, so I'm not freaking out about it. Let's just clear out a bit of space. Over here. There you go, give me a bit of room to work with if you wouldn't mind. A bit too much room to work with, but whatever. We're going to want our active vent right over there, I think. Set inward, and yeah, this will be turned on occasionally. Like, we won't turn this on very much. Basically, I'm going to be running it until such time as we fill the tanks to like my liking, and then I'll come turn it off. We're just going to be manually doing this. We will set up automation eventually, but there are more pressing concerns, like the crops. We'll deal with those pretty soon, that's for sure. Okay, cool. That's all wired up. Turn that on so I don't have to come back out and do it. And let's get the vent set up, the exit vent. And I think just to be safe, I'm going to clear a little bit of space around here. I don't think it needs it, but I don't see it hurting, right? There we go. Done and dusted. Okay, cool. So that is now coming out. And as you can see, there was a little bit of movement. And there will be a bunch more once we connect up this vent. A lot of the X is just going to get pumped through. Just to confirm, there is nitrogen in this atmosphere, right? Like, this isn't a sort of a wild goose chase. There's even a little bit of oxygen. Okay, very nice. Alright, thankfully, it's the plants will heat up quite a bit. Like, that room is going to be warm. I promise you that much. Okay, let's get this all clued up. Okay, I'll drink. Gosh. Soon we will have ample water. Don't you worry. Okay, let's close that up. So there we go. We are now pumping air in, and as you can see, this is going to... Occasionally, the pipe network will just flicker, but this should be increasing slowly. And yes, indeed, it is. Very, very cool. It is absolutely friggin' freezing, though. It's going to bring the temperature in here down like crazy. We are going to have to set up heaters to mitigate that, but that's okay. It is what it is. It is also going to cool our oxygen, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. We are actually now beginning to capture gas. And just to make sure, this pipe network right over here is a little concerning to me. It is not increasing in pressure. It's increasing in pressure and then immediately venting, which means that we are actually pushing out the gases we don't want. Okay, cool. If that was steadily increasing, we'd be in real danger. But no, it's all working just fine. And we can take a look. Which one does it use first? I don't actually know. This one, there we go. So 99%, the filters are indeed being engaged. Okay, awesome. So we've now managed to collect... What have we done today? Let's do a bit of a recap. We have done some basic atmospherics. We have laid down some pipe. We've put down some of these things. We're definitely going to want to put down some floorboards in the next one so that we can walk around without having to constantly wobble up and down. It is what it is, though. Let's have a quick look here. The CO2 is climbing very nicely. I'm definitely going to want to put a monitor of some kind on these walls behind them to track the gas pressure, because this could get bad very quickly. We're basically building gigantic bombs again. But these things have a huge pressure tolerance. I think it's like 40 or something megapascals, so I'm not too worried. The CO2 will fill up the fastest, obviously. Okay, well, with that, we should be able to now turn this on and see that, yes, indeed, we are actually pulling atmosphere through. Lovely. It's going to be tiny amounts at a time, but the pressure in this room will very, very slowly increase. Once we turn on, see the pressure in this pipe. Can we actually see that from here? Yeah, we can. Okay, if we turn this on, click. The pressure in the room will now very slowly begin to climb. And once we hit that sacred 50 mark, it will begin to push back through. Now, what's important to note is that the CO2 in this room is very high. I recognize that. A big part of that is the fact that we're dealing with the remnants of the room. It hasn't yet filtered back through, and it won't until we get to sufficient pressure. I'm going to turn this on, though. This pipe network should still remain fairly empty. And we shouldn't see the composition change too much. You can see the pressure, the CO2 percentage is dropping, but the actual volume, like the mass, is not. The moles are staying the same. Okay, but that's kind of it. You kind of always want this pipe to be pink. What I'll show you what will happen, if I turn these off, basically what happens is it just allows things to pass through, and the pressure in this pipe is going... it doesn't allow things to pass through. If we lose pressure, if we lose power to these... the entire network will continue to pressurize from that pump. What's very important to note about that is that you must have your sort of inward pump on the same power network as your filters. That way, if they go down, the pump goes down too, and you don't continue pressurizing. It's just a bit of a failsafe. There you go. As soon as we turn them on, drains the whole thing out. Okay, guys. That is unfortunately all we have time for today. Tomorrow we're going to deal with... what the hell are you? Oh, that's the airlock. Tomorrow we're going to deal with a bit of aesthetics. The space is kind of getting a little cluttered. And we're also going to deal with a whole bunch, oh my god, of farming. It's going to be great. Something I do note, though, and I note with great interest, is that we actually have a little bit of nitrogen in here. Let's pop that out. There we go. Let that equalize with the base. Why not, right? Okay, lovely. That's something we can use. Am I stupid? Oh, there we go. We put the volume pump on. Okay. There we go. Pump that bad boy out. Yeah, let's just pump all the nitrogen into the base. I mean, we were going to run it through the filters anyway, right? And then pump it through there, so that should be good. Would be good to know how much power we're using here. Let's have a quick look. We're currently pulling 335 watts. Guys, I wouldn't be too scared about that at all. Don't you worry. Yeah, this isn't going to kill us. That's one solar panel. We might just need to add another one. But yeah, that'll do it. Okay, thank you everybody very much for watching. That is all we have time for today. Oh god. Anyway, that is unfortunately all we have time for today. Thank you everybody very much for watching. I'm going to be standing here as the pressure slowly climbs. The pressure's building, boys. But we are on track for the next one. I will hope to see you all then. Please do drop a like if you enjoyed the video. It helps the algorithm like you cannot believe and tells me that you guys want to see more Stationeers content going forward. Cheers. And of course, a huge thank you to our channel members and patrons for this month: Kelly Ananas, Call Me Bo 82, Charlie Weber, Couch Potato, The Senate, LCG Canyon, Pierre G, Mermix, Officer C4, and Red Raven Gaming.